A Georgia judge delivering a huge blow to Fulton County DA Fani Willis' case against Donald Trump, dismissing 2 criminal counts against the former president.
Chanley Painter joins us with all the details. Hi, Chanley.
Hey, Todd and Carly. So the judge in the Georgia election interference case dismissing 2 more criminal counts against former President Trump, including conspiracy to commit filing of false documents and filing false documents. The judge ruling they fall under federal jurisdiction. Now, Trump's attorney posting, quote, President Trump and his legal team in Georgia have prevailed once again. A grand jury indicted Trump and 18 others more than a year ago on charges that they attempted to overturn the 2020 election result in Georgia. 4 defendants have pleaded guilty. Earlier this year, the judge dismissed 6 other charges against Trump. He now faces 8 remaining felony counts. Now, the case was thrown into limbo when an improper affair was revealed between prosecutor Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, the prosecutor she hired to help bring the case against Trump. Wade was later removed. Now, separately, a Georgia Senate committee is investigating allegations of misconduct against Willis related to conflicts of interest and misuse of tax dollars. But Willis's attorney confirming she will not cooperate or appear at the Senate hearing until there has been a judicial determination of the validity of the subpoena. Now, that Senate subpoena demands Willis turn over all emails and all texts between her and Wade, plus an accounting of all gifts or cash exchanged between the two and all communications with federal offices about the case. As far as that criminal case, the Georgia Court of Appeals paused the proceeding until October when it hears Trump's motion to disqualify Willis as prosecutor, guys.
All right, Chanley Painter live.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about Fani Willis, who is not having a great time right now when it comes to trying to get this RICO case against Trump and his co-defendants going, okay? Because it seems like this case is falling apart slowly, death by 1,000 cuts, which is what most people predicted would happen after Judge McAfee decided that Fani Willis could stay on the case as long as she removed her boy toy, Nathan Wade, from the case. And that is what she decided to do. However, there's still a strong odor of mendacity lingering, okay, around this case because it seems as if Fani Willis and Nathan Wade lied about when their relationship began and whether or not they're still in a relationship. Because last time we talked about Fani Willis, it seems as if she had just finished getting her cheeks clapped and then showed up to the site of her daughter getting a ticket for texting while driving with Mr. Nathan Wade, which is not something that you would do with somebody that you're not in a relationship with. But apparently, according to her, Nathan Wade is just a friend, okay? But the fact that she would be so reckless as to bring Nathan Wade along with her to the scene of her daughter getting a ticket, okay, knowing what's at stake, okay, what the defense could possibly bring up as a continued conflict of interest, just shows you how much she doesn't really care about this case anymore, because there's a 0% chance this RICO trial will happen before the election, and that's all she cared about, right? She wanted to go down as the strong black woman to take down Trump, right? She no longer is playing that role anymore. This is why she doesn't care, okay? This is why she is openly boohoo-whining, crying racism against President Trump, against the defense, even though she knows that could also get her in some trouble as well, too, because of what they call forensic misconduct down there in Georgia, in which her boohoo-whining, crying racism could affect the potential jury pool out in Fulton County, okay? But she doesn't care because, again, she didn't get what she wanted out of the case. So I don't think she cares about the case at all anymore. And as a result, you're kind of seeing her act accordingly, right? She's just letting the case kind of fall apart. She's not doing what she should do if she cares about actually getting the case to trial, right? But she doesn't care anymore because, again, the whole point was for it to happen before the election. Now that it's not happening before the election, it is what it is. So I actually want to play this news clip that is going to give us more information about what's currently happening with this case, because it is actually on the verge of collapse. And that is important because regardless of whether or not Trump wins or loses the election, this case will still be there. So this is definitely something that we need to pay attention to. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Well, now to the latest on the election interference case against Mr. Trump. Today, a judge dropped 2 more charges against the former president, and in less than 12 hours, Georgia state lawmakers are set to hold a hearing looking to question Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis about the case. But she likely won't show up. 11 Alive's Joe Ripley with our 11 Alive political team joining us live from the state capitol, where that hearing is set to start at 10 in the morning. And Joe, this comes amid efforts to take Willis off the case completely.
That's right. And this Georgia State Senate subcommittee hearing wants to hear from Fulton DA Fani Willis, first on the election interference case here in Georgia, along with her relationship with one-time special prosecutor Nathan Wade. Willis is trying to block this committee's hearing subpoena, but nearly half a dozen judges have recused themselves already, citing conflicts of interest or potential conflicts of interest. Meantime, this is only bogging down Georgia's election interference case. Judge Scott McAfee dropped 2 more criminal charges against former President Donald Trump. Count 15, which accuses him of conspiring to file a fake certificate of votes, and Count 27, which deals with filing false statements about voters. The judge said state prosecutors didn't have the authority to bring charges dealing with federal court matters. Judge McAfee previously dropped 3 other charges against Mr. Trump, all tied to allegedly petitioning Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and the late State House Speaker David Ralston to alter or decertify the 2020 election.
Yeah, so basically she's trying to stack charges against Trump, right? That's what she's trying to do, even though she doesn't have the authority to do so. But that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to throw anything at the wall and let's see what sticks, okay? Is anybody surprised just how amateur hour this case is from Fani Willis against Trump, right? The fact that it is very poorly put together, okay? It is pretty unprofessional in the way that she's carried herself thus far. But would you expect anything different from somebody like her? Okay. Would anybody expect anything different from somebody like her? It is completely and 100% her fault that this trial is not happening before the election. That's the hilarious part about it. Okay. Because if she just was better at her job, okay, if she was more competent, then the trial probably would already happen. But because she's so incompetent, because she's so dumb, that's the main reason, one of the main reasons why the trial is not happening, okay? All of this is happening because of her and her actions, okay? But as you can see here, because she's trying to basically skip the Georgia State Senate hearing, she feels like she's above it all, right? She doesn't have to answer questions or answer to anybody, okay, except her daddy, right? She doesn't have to answer anybody, okay? So she doesn't care about just letting the case fall apart at this point. Clearly she doesn't, because if she did, then, again, she would not have been so reckless and negligent, and she wouldn't be acting the way she's acting right now, as if she's above it all.
Mr. Trump's counsel, Steve Sadow, responded to the dropped charges, saying, quote, President Trump and his legal team in Georgia have prevailed once again. The trial court has decided these counts must be quashed, dismissed.
Every time that a defendant gets a charge dismissed against them, it's definitely a win for the defense.
I spoke with John Acevedo, the associate dean at Emory Law School. He says time and taxpayer money are stalling the election interference case.
It was always going to be a hard case to prosecute, and it's just getting even harder. Really now, Fani Willis is going to have to decide, is it worth the effort that it's going to take to continue with these charges?
A state Senate subcommittee called the hearing requesting Willis to testify to her relationship with the one-time special prosecutor over the Trump case. But it's likely Willis will not attend.
Legally, no effect whatsoever. In the court of public opinion, it may do her some damage.
As for Mr. Trump, his Georgia case remains stalled, as does the D.C. January 6 case, tied up over arguments of presidential immunity. A judge dismissed the Florida classified documents case altogether, and a New York jury convicted the former president of falsifying business documents, with sentencing coming after the November election.
Now, that is an interesting turn of events, right? The sentencing coming after the election. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Okay, it's a good thing in the sense that, okay, he's going to be sentenced after the election, right? But it's a bad thing in the sense that if he was sentenced before the election, then that might have given Trump more juice, right? And I think that's part of the reason why they decided to do it after the election, because they know that, okay, well, we sentenced him before the election, right? Especially if they try to actually throw him in jail. Yeah, you're going to basically give people more reasons to vote for Trump. And that should be a reminder to everybody what the stakes of this election are, okay? Which is that if Trump loses, it is likely that in one of these cases, okay, that he's probably going to end up getting convicted and going to jail. Now, that is something that can be prevented if he becomes president of the United States, at least when it comes to the federal cases. Now, when it comes to the state cases, the good thing is that this Georgia case, as you guys can see here, falling apart. The New York case, it is likely that that will probably be reversed, okay, because everybody knows that that case was bunked in the first place. So that will probably be reversed on appeal. And again, even if he wins, I mean, they're not going to throw him in some state jail or something. Like, that's not happening, right? That ain't happening, okay, if Trump becomes president. But regardless, the state cases being there are a problem, but that problem is kind of working itself out. So really at this point, Trump has to worry about the DC case that is still stalled, that at some point will probably move forward. It's just stalled because the Supreme Court has decided that, hey, we got to decide what are official acts, what are unofficial acts, okay? And Jack Smith has to work that out with Judge Chunkin and go through that whole process. So who knows, okay, when/if that case will go forward. But regardless, people have to vote as if they understand what is at stake here. That if Trump loses in one of these cases, okay, again, he might get convicted and go to jail, right? This is what they're going to do. They're not going to stop, okay? So if Trump wins, though, it is likely that he stays out of jail altogether and that he's good to go, right? And that's what people have to understand is at stake here. If you do not want to see the former president in jail behind bars, okay, which is what they're going to try to do, then you have to come out and vote like never before.
And tonight we have reached out to the Fulton County DA's office for comment on the potential no-show for Fani Willis here at this state Senate subcommittee hearing. In fact, she's been advertised at a Congressional Black Caucus event in Washington, D.C. We also reached out to the DA's office for comment on news of these charges for former President Trump being dropped. We have not heard back. We're live in Atlanta. Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, so the entitlement. Well, we're just going to skip the hearing, right? I'm just not going to show up. I'm not going to answer any questions, okay? I shouldn't be held accountable for my actions, right? I don't have to answer to state lawmakers. No. Nobody's above me, right? Nobody oversees what I do. I don't have a boss. Again, this is the attitude here. This is the attitude. Now, here's the deal. It looks like this case is slowly dying, okay? Death by 1,000 cuts. It's funny because everybody kind of said that Judge McAfee knew this would happen, right? Everybody was mad at Judge McAfee for his initial ruling, but I think he kind of knew that this case was doomed, right? When he allowed Fani Willis to stay on the case and to remove Nathan Wade, I think he already kind of knew, all right, well, you know, I don't have the cojones to just destroy the case altogether, but I'll let it die slowly, okay? And have Fani Willis's reputation damaged in the process because that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. Now, again, apparently the voters out in Fulton County don't care. They don't give a damn. But the whole point was for Fani Willis to get this case done, okay, to get the trial done before the election and to elevate herself into superstardom within Democrat Party circles, right? That was the whole point, okay? And she's missed that opportunity. She's not going to get that opportunity. And this is probably going to be very damaging to her career in regards to her continuing to elevate, right, to get positions in higher office because everybody can see that she's been exposed as somebody that is not trustworthy and that she's not very competent and that she's so negligent and full of herself that she will risk a high-profile case like trying to prosecute a former president. She will put that at risk for some vitamin D, right? Vitamin D, okay? That is what Fani Willis did. It's not a good look, and she's definitely destroyed any future career prospects in regards to moving up, okay, within the Democrat Party circles, in my opinion. And this case seems like it's definitely going to fall apart sooner rather than later, okay? Eventually, at some point, it's just happening very slowly, but it is happening. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.